Skill development, a very popular topic, a very popular movement. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody wants to do it. People want to develop their skills. Government wants people to develop their skills. Industry wants employees to be skilled. So everybody has jumped on to this bandwagon. Nothing wrong with having skills and developing skills. But my problem is with the way it has been happening in India. Uh, there has been a common refrain from industry mostly and industry bodies, various bodies, and the thinking has been that we produce a lot of graduates and engineers and postgraduates and all that, but they are not employable because they don't have the right skills or they are not skilled enough. So, what is the solution? Add skill development programs. They are not reforming the education itself, they are adding on skill development programs on top of the education that you already have. Let us say you are an engineer with a 4-year degree course and you are producing engineers who are not skilled. So instead of changing the basic course or the curriculum or the way you structure the whole engineering thing, you are adding on skill development centers and programs on top of the stuff that you already have. And so that is one problem. Why not reform? If the engineers are not good enough, why not produce better engineers? Of course, the problem is that we have too many engineers now and too many all types of graduates and postgraduates, because compared to the past, many more people in India are going for higher education. Everybody wants to be a graduate. Nobody drops out. Earlier, very few people could afford to do it, and maybe there was poverty and people had to drop off to work, drop out. Now, even those parents want their children to be educated. So, everybody generally becomes a graduate because of societal pressures, society pressures, status issues, wanting to get married. You won't get a girl if you are not educated, as far as a boy is concerned. So everybody generally gets a degree or a postgraduate degree or something or the other. Most of them do. And there is privatization of education. There is a lot of competition. And there are a lot of people graduating. And nobody fails. Very few people actually fail. And you can't actually fail people when you are a private college and taking hefty fees. Then the student teacher equation changes to a service provider customer equation. The college is the private academic institution is basically a business which is providing educational services to the consumer and the customer, the parents and the student and the parents, and you are charging heavy fees for providing this service, so you can't displease them. So you have to pass them, you have to make them smarter, which you can't technically. Of course, you can't make somebody smarter, but that is what parents expect and children expect and students expect, because you are charging those fees and you can't even say that no, we won't do that, because you don't want to lose that business. So all sorts of promises are made, and people pay money to get these degrees, and generally you are too afraid to fail these people because you've taken a lot of money from them. So there is a lot of supply, and because of these economic issues and economy not firing on all cylinders, employment generation is a bit of an issue. So the industry people and industry lobbies have smartly figured out this excuse, to my mind, that look, we want to employ people, but we can't because they are just not smart enough, they are not skilled enough. And the government has fallen for this nonsense. And the government has said, okay, we will skill people by opening skill development centers, and this started during the UPA 1 or UPA 2 government, and it has continued in this government's time also, and now it has become stronger. There is an actual skill ministry of skill development, etc., and this has become a big thing now. So you have either short term programs which are useless, and again, what are the programs, how are they designed, whether industry inputs are taken or not, whether they are designed as per what the industry is asking for, or whether they are too small, too short. So somehow programs are designed, people pay fees, maybe they don't really learn anything still even after undergoing these skill development programs. So whether these programs are useful, do they actually impart skills, are they as per the needs of the industry, that again is a question. And secondly, there is no guarantee from the industry bodies or the industry in general, or any pressure from the government on the industry that there will be placements. The industry will recruit people. Industry says we can't recruit because your system is producing unskilled people. Government is saying, hey, we are skilling them. But government is not putting pressure or asking industry to recruit from those centers. So industry is still free to say no. Industry said give them skills, government tried, and all sorts of, again, it's not only government, also private, it has again become a huge business. Like education business, skill development has become a huge business, and there are plenty of private players into skill development, and there is money being made everywhere. And still, in spite of this, there is no pressure on the industry, there is no commitment from the industry, there is no guarantee from the industry that look, we will recruit the people who undergo these skill development programs. Government doesn't want to put pressure on these industries because we are in a right of center kind of an economy, a bit of free market capitalistic economy. So government doesn't either believe in putting pressure on private players or industry, or government is scared to do so, or government, that is not the ideology of the government, or government doesn't think it should do that. So there is supply of education, there is supply of skill development, and still there are not many takers from the industry side. They are still free to say no. You educate people, then you additionally give them skill development programs, and still the industry may not recruit, may or may not recruit. And that doesn't change, that has not changed. Of course, I mean, this can't be true across the board. Maybe there are pockets where some genuine work is being done. There are places where there is actual recruitment happening, where there are serious companies which are, and there are serious skill development programs, and they are successful to place their students, and industry is ready to absorb those students or those trainees. But on the whole, it doesn't seem to be working as far as my perception goes. So this is a flawed idea. And secondly, look at the logical part of it. I mean, if industry finds, first of all, why doesn't the industry do the skilling job itself? I mean, I have seen people who said that, look, we used to say earlier that we will recruit for attitude and train for aptitude. We just want people with the right attitude, positive attitude. If they have got that, then leave the rest of it to us. We will mold them accordingly. We will teach them whatever we need to teach them to do the things that we want them to do. We'll train them in our own way. And big companies and have their HR departments and training departments and the whole structure. So why doesn't the industry itself take care of skill development? Why are they leaving it to the other players, other skill development players, other skill development institutes, or the government? Let us say a company wants to recruit engineers. It can go to various engineering colleges, look at the best available engineers, and if they still find them not to be skilled enough, they can hire whatever the best they can get and then skill them the way they want them to. I mean, we are not asking, government is not saying that you take a 12th pass guy. Your a company wants to recruit engineers, and we are not saying that, look, we got a 12th pass guy, so you take him and teach him 4 years of engineering. You want to recruit engineers, there are engineering colleges. These engineering colleges are set up by, not by the industry, I mean, that is a separate industry itself, or the government. Now industry wants engineers. Engineers are there with 4 year degrees and even 6 year MEs and MTechs and all that. And now they are finding flaws with these engineers, saying that, look, your engineers are there, they've got engineering degrees, but they are not skilled. So then why the heck don't you give those skills? Why the heck don't you train them? Why do you expect somebody else to do your job for you? Why don't you train them? If you really want skilled people and you are unable to find skilled people, then take what you can get and train them the way you can. You have the facility to train. We are not saying you run an engineering college. We are not saying if you want doctors, you run a medical college. We are giving you doctors. A hospital can recruit doctors and then it can train the fresh doctor the way it wants. We are not saying you run a 5.5 year MBBS program. So they are saying we want engineers, but your engineers are not good enough. So skill them, then we'll look at it. Our hands are not tied. We will see if we can, and if we find them suitable, we'll take them. This is complete nonsense. This is an excuse. You have got these engineers. Choose the best or most suitable among them, and then even after that you still find them not to be suitable enough, then train them in your own way. What is the rocket science behind it? Why can't you do it yourself? If you really need them, right? I mean, let us just look at common examples. When you need something, do you really worry for the wonderful? If you are hungry, you will eat whatever you can get. If you are really hungry, you won't be, and you can't get a 5-star meal and all that, so you'll get whatever you can get. You can eat whatever you can get. If you are thirsty, you will drink whatever you can get. People have died on high seas because they were so thirsty that they drank seawater, which killed them. I'm not saying you drink that, but the point is, we have even proverbs in these things. If you are sleepy, you will lie down on the floor and sleep. Will not want a fantastic couch and all that, or a very good nicely made bed and all that. If you are hungry, you will eat whatever you can get. If you are really hungry, make do with whatever you can get. If you want to sleep, you will sleep wherever you can, whenever you can, without saying that I can't sleep unless I have this kind of a mattress and this kind of a bed and this and that. So when you need something, you are actually seriously, desperately in need of people, then you will take whatever you can get and you will impart it yourself. Let us say an Indian housewife wants a maid servant, a kamwali bai, and she is not going to wait for the best kamwali bai. She doesn't want to do it herself, so she will go out and find somebody and make her do the job. So if we didn't think like this, most of us would be unmarried. I mean, we don't wait for the perfect wife or the perfect. We all want to maybe marry Miss Worlds and Miss Universes and the best woman in the world and 10 out of 10 or whatever. Most of us would be unmarried. We find a suitable mate and then make do with it. Make do with him or her. That's how it works. Otherwise, most of us would be unmarried. Most housewives would have no maid servants. Most people would not have drivers. Most people would not have tutors. Everywhere, you don't wait for the perfect service provider or the perfect product or perfect service. If you are in need of some product or some service, really in real need, then you will get whatever you can get, the whatever best option you have. Whether it is up to your mark or not, doesn't really matter. If you are hungry, you will eat. Right? You won't really be picky about it. So that is the simple logic here. So what is this nonsense that we are unable to recruit people because though we need people, the logic is this. The argument goes like this. We are desperate for people. We want to recruit people. We are growing and we want to grow, and we can't grow because we can't get people, and we want to hire people, but people are not skilled. Now, if you are really in need of people, then take whatever you can get and then train them, give them the skills that you want to. Why can't you give them those skills? Why is it a rocket science? It's not rocket science. It is your job, it is your company, it is you who decides who has to do what, and you know how the job is to be done. So how and why can't you teach him or her to do that job? Why does it have to be outsourced? And secondly, even when it is outsourced, then why aren't you taking those people? Then why aren't you giving those guarantees that okay, you give them this skill, I'll take them? Then you will have another excuse that you didn't ask me what kind of program to run and all that. So that is also true. Of course, there is the industry, academia interfacing is not good. But then who is to blame? Both sides are to blame. And I think industry has a serious role to play here. And industry doesn't really want to take this responsibility. They are not bothered about it. This is an excuse. And of course, this is a very generalized kind of an observation and overall kind of a thing. There is truth to what the industry says. Skilled people are in demand, and the availability is low, as I said, because we have lot of supply, not high quality supply, because everybody is getting educated and everybody is passing, and a lot of people are educating and passing. So obviously you can't have everybody at the same level. So obviously quality standards have diluted. Because of dilution of standards, the level of engineering graduates has also probably gone down. MBA graduates also gone down. Earlier you had fewer MBAs and engineers. There was a lot of it. It was difficult to get into engineering and MBA, and so only good people could get in and pass and all that. Now everybody gets in and everybody passes. So that filtering has gone down. So the quality has gone down. So that dearth is available. That dearth is true. That dearth of skilled people is true. But then this is not the way to go about it. This is a situation, so deal with it. Either set up skill development centers yourself, or set up skill development centers, or where those centers are there, you approach them and work out how you are going to give them inputs and ideas about what kind of courses they should conduct, and get actively involved, and then give them guarantees and take people from them. And finally, take whatever you can get and train them yourselves. Don't depend on others. If you really need it, you will do it. If you are hungry, are you going to say, I'll starve if I not get a 5-star meal? If I am only going to eat maybe Domino's pizza or Pizza Hut pizza, and if I don't get Pizza Hut pizza, I'm going to starve to death? No, you get whatever the heck you get. You will eat a vada pav or anything if you want, if you are hungry. So if industry is really looking for people, it can get people, it can recruit people, and it can skill them the way it wants. If there is a need, you will find a way of doing it. And this is a general observation. As I said, there is truth in people not being skilled enough. There is probably good work happening somewhere, but on the whole, the logic doesn't make much sense to me. And secondly, I am a bit cynical about industry. Generally, I've seen businessmen who don't really like highly skilled people, because highly skilled people, then it is a capital versus labor kind of a game. Then they have the upper hand. Then you can't do without them. Then they are the prima donnas. They are the superstars. You want Shah Rukh Khan, then you have to give him his fees. So you are at his mercy. He will give you his dates, or you have to beg him for his dates and whatever. So if you have highly skilled employees, then they have the upper hand. You can't do without them. They call the shots. So the power shifts from capital to labor. And industrialists don't like that. Capital doesn't like losing power. They would prefer to deal with dumber people, because they can get away with paying them less. Highly skilled people would have to be paid a lot of money. And capital doesn't like losing to labor. So you don't want to pay high salaries to these people. You want to keep that money to yourself. So you don't want too smart people so that you can get away with paying them less. If you can get away with hiring a diploma engineer, you won't go for a degree engineer because you can get a diploma at a lower salary than a degree engineer. This is hard-nosed, cold truth. Most of the cases, again, not 100%. And people would prefer automation and robots and everything so that there is no human element. You don't have to deal with human beings who are moody, who are temperamental, who are absent, who fall ill, who want leave, and then they have their own demands and all that, and you don't trust them, and you have to pay them too much because they are too smart and you can't do without them. Much better to have machines and automation and robots and stuff like that who don't demand anything. One time investment, then they will be like slaves working for you. And these high-fi skilled employees would be like prima donnas and superstars, and you have to beg them and you have to be at their mercy. So industry doesn't really like skilled people. Again, I'm sorry, it is a generalization, not always the truth. There are all kinds of people in industry also, and there are all kinds of companies. But what I'm saying reflects some part of reality. So in the broadest sense of the term, at a macro level, this is a flawed concept, skill development, and I don't know why the government is so enamored of it. And it has basically become another business. Like education is big business now, skill development is business for these skill development centers, and people put money into education, then they again pay to get those skills, and then still getting work and getting jobs and getting employment is still a little bit out of your grasp. So that's reality, and government has to think seriously about it. Industry has to take some responsibility, and people have to sit down and work it out. Otherwise, the sector itself grows, like education grows, everybody gets educated, everybody gets skill development programs, but still all dressed up and nowhere to go. Still no jobs, still no employment, or very few jobs and very little employment. Again, we don't know what the actual scene is. We have all sorts of figures, and we don't really understand this complex reality of employment and unemployment that well. So, but on the face of it, I have some logical issues, as I said, with skill development. Firstly, why don't you recruit people from skill development programs? First question. Why don't you give placement guarantees? That is not happening, or it is happening only in some places. If industry wants skilled people and then there are skill development centers already there, then why doesn't the industry give it commitment that will recruit your students, will absorb these students? They are not doing that, not across the board. So that is the first logical question. Second logical question, if you really need people, you will recruit whoever you can get and then train him or her yourself. It is not impossible to train. We are not, let us say some airlines want to recruit pilots. Now we are not saying, hey, take this guy and make him a pilot. There are actually people who undergo these programs to become pilots, and airlines recruit those pilots. Now maybe the pilots are not skilled enough or as skilled as the airline wants, then the airline would have to worry about training them, right? We are not saying that if you want nurses, we will give you just a fresh graduate or a 10th pass or 12th pass lady and you train her to be a nurse. We will have actual nursing. We have actual nursing colleges. But the problem is, even after nursing, and even after engineering, and even after medicine and all that, you still say, yes, you have produced nurses. Yes, you have produced doctors. Yes, you have produced CAs. Yes, you have produced engineers and accountants and software developers and God knows what and all that. But they are not skilled. We are not asking them to run an engineering program. We are just saying, take our engineers and give them the last part of it, the last mile part of it. We are not asking them, the industry, to say that give them a 4-year degree course. That has already been taken care of. Just add the missing element. That is your job. Why can't you do that? How can't you do that? It is beyond my comprehension. And they have these huge HR departments and training departments, and if they don't have, they should have. They should hire trainers, they should hire HR departments, they should set up training and HR departments and all that. So I don't get the logic behind this. I think it is some sort of a scam or a confidence trick, and the government should stop believing in all this, and the government should put industry on notice, and industry should also realize its responsibilities and not hide behind this no skilled people crap. I'm sorry for my French, pardon me, but it is irritating that this game has been going on for so long and without yielding real results. So, two simple arguments: if you need something, you will get whatever you can and make do with it. Simple logic, like in food, or hiring a maid servant, or hiring a cook, or hiring a tutor, or hiring a gardener, or getting an electrician, or a plumber, or a carpenter, or anything. You don't want to go to a taxi, you don't weigh saying the most skilled taxi rider, whoever taxi driver is available, whether he is not getting good reviews from Uber or Ola, you will still, maybe you'll have a bad experience, will still sit in that taxi or that rig or that auto. Maybe that guy will misbehave with you, you'll still do that. You will have complaints later on, right? When you are hungry, you get whatever you can and eat. You don't wait for the best possible meal in the world, manna from heaven. You don't do that. And secondly, why aren't you recruiting those guys from those skill development centers? Simple, two logical questions. Only two logical questions. Answer that. Thank you.